Apple Daily founder Jimmy Lai is found guilty of collusion and sedition in national security trial. The central and SAR governments welcome the verdict for Jimmy Lai, while the UK calls for his immediate release. And Australia is set to tighten gun laws after a father and his son killed 16 people at Bondi Beach. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Cheryl Yun. In a landmark national security trial, former media tycoon Jimmy Lai has been found guilty of 1 count of conspiracy to publish seditious material and 2 counts of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces. The court believes Lai's endgame was to change the regime of the Chinese Communist Party and that he had kept calling for foreign sanctions even after the implementation of the national security law. The 78-year-old could face life in prison and is expected to be sentenced early next year. Jamie Liu has more on the judgment.
Lai, who has remained in custody for over 5 years, arrived at the West Kowloon Law Courts building on a prison van this morning. Many residents waited in a long queue for a seat in the public gallery amid a heavy police presence given the high-profile nature of the national security trial that spanned 156 court days. A 3-judge panel delivered their verdict in an 855-page judgment, starting with Lai's first charge of conspiracy to publish seditious material. The justices found Lai as being in hands-on control of Apple Daily by giving editorial instructions to senior editors through lunchbox meetings, including 4 of them who now serve as the prosecution's accomplice witnesses. In the examination of 161 articles, including columns and editorial pieces, the judges saw a constant pattern of bias and hostility, with 17 of them objectively seditious. The judgment concluded Lai had consciously used the now-defunct Apple Daily and his personal influence to undermine the legitimacy or authority of the central and SAR governments, way beyond what the law allows. The judges described Lai as wanting to gather support from the United States and the West with the endgame to seek the regime change of the Chinese Communist Party. Regarding the 2 counts of conspiracy to collusion with foreign forces, Lai argued that he had ceased any foreign sanction calls after the national security law came in force. However, the court dismissed Lai's testimony as at times contradictory, inconsistent, evasive, and unreliable. Citing evidence such as Lai's live chat episodes from his online program, the judges said he did tone down his rhetoric, but still continued in a more indirect and subtle strategy. The judgment highlighted Lai's agreement with others, including several opposition activists Andy Lee, Waylon Chan, and Fin Lau, as well as his aide Mark Simon, to engage in international lobbying for sanctions. WhatsApp messages were cited in the verdict to show that Simon had worked behind the scenes to arrange Lai to meet Washington officials to seek their support against Beijing and Hong Kong. The judges concluded Lai as the mastermind behind the conspiracies and found him guilty of all 3 charges. Lai's family members left the court after the verdict was handed down. The mitigation hearing is scheduled for January 12th, and the sentencing date will be announced in due course. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
Chief Executive John Lee welcomed the guilty verdict for Jimmy Lai, describing it as upholding legal justice and safeguarding the city's core values, while Security Chief Chris Tang called the ruling fair and just, stating that it is not related to freedom of the press. Ahead of his duty visit to Beijing, the city's leader commented on Lai's case at the airport, describing the judgment as upholding legal justice and safeguarding the city's core values. Lee said Lai had incited social division and openly begged for foreign sanctions that harmed national and public interests. His actions are shameful and his intentions are malicious, he added. Security Chief Chris Tang also welcomed the conviction, reiterating that the proceedings were fair, just and open and free from any political considerations.
The verdict states very clearly this is nothing to do freedom of press in this case, it is solely because of Jimmy Lai is utilizing Apple Daily as a platform to advocate his hatreds against government and his plot to try to overturn the CPG's regime.
Speaking outside West Kowloon Court after the ruling, Chief Superintendent of the National Security Department Steve Lee stressed that Lai was the key instigator behind the 2019 social unrest. Lee also addressed speculations about Lai's health, stating that Lai had been receiving regular medical examinations and any claims of significant deterioration in Lai's health were made with ulterior motives to smear and discredit the authorities. Meanwhile, Lai's defense lawyer Robert Pang said it would take time to study the lengthy judgment, and he had nothing else to comment on at this stage. The central government has thrown its full weight behind the Hong Kong court's conviction of Jimmy Lai, condemning foreign criticism as unacceptable interference and sternly warning external powers not to intervene in China and Hong Kong's internal affairs. Quinton Yang reports.
In a firm statement from Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesman Guo Jiakun emphasized that Hong Kong is a society governed by law and that the judicial authorities perform their duties in accordance with the law, calling their actions reasonable, legitimate, and beyond reproach. Reserving the strongest criticism for foreign powers that question the trial, Guo explicitly urged certain countries not to interfere in Hong Kong's judiciary or China's internal affairs, nor to make irresponsible remarks on the case. The strong backing from Beijing aligns with the chorus of support from other central government bodies overseeing Hong Kong's affairs. The State Council's Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, in a signed commentary labeled Lai as the mastermind and backstage boss behind a series of incidents aimed at destabilizing Hong Kong. It accused him of being an agent for external anti-China forces and highlighted that the public demanded severe punishment of him. Similarly, the Liaison Office of the Central People's Government in Hong Kong stated that Lai's actions severely harmed Hong Kong society and caused its citizens unforgettable pain, stressing that he must be held accountable in accordance with the law. The Office for Safeguarding National Security in Hong Kong also strongly criticized a handful of Western politicians and anti-China media for using human rights and freedom as a pretext to smear Hong Kong's legal system, defend Lai, and glorify actions endangering national security. It condemned such acts as political manipulation with ulterior motives and a blatant trampling of the spirit of the rule of law. Quinton Yang, Cable News.
The United Kingdom, which recognizes Jimmy Lai as a British citizen, condemned his conviction and called for his immediate release. Australia also expressed concerns. British Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper criticized the verdict as a politically motivated prosecution. She further accused Beijing of using the national security law imposed on Hong Kong to silence China's critics. Meanwhile, Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade said in a statement that the government will continue to raise human rights concerns directly with the Hong Kong and Chinese governments regularly and at the highest levels. The Consumer Council revealed that some popular exfoliating facial cleansers contained a carcinogenic substance, while others failed to meet pH standards, potentially causing skin irritation. The consumer watchdog tested 25 exfoliating face wash products with prices ranging from $29 to $450. 3 samples had pH values below the mainland's recommended minimum of 3.5, which may heighten the risk of allergic reactions or skin irritation. Separately, 3 brands were found to contain 1,4-dioxane, a substance classified as carcinogenic. Although the detected levels in these samples remained within mainland's regulatory limits, one brand exceeded the stricter recommended threshold set by the European Union's Scientific Committee on Consumer Safety.
Generally, face wash products have short contact time with the skin and are rinsed off immediately after cleansing. So absorption through the skin is minimal. Nevertheless, the Council encouraged relevant manufacturers to improve production processes and raw materials to achieve 1,4-dioxane-3 products as far as possible.
The Consumer Council gave top 5-star ratings to 12 brands for overall safety and performance. Among them, the cheapest is a Japanese brand priced at $40, while the most expensive, a French brand, retails for $450. Australia is moving to tighten its gun laws after a deadly terror attack by a father and his son at Sydney's Bondi Beach that targeted a Jewish Hanukkah celebration and killed at least 16 people. Quinton Young has more updates.
Flags flew at half-mast across Australia following the deadliest shooting in almost 3 decades in a country with strict gun control laws. 2 gunmen opened fire on a crowd of Jewish revelers at a Bondi Beach celebration event, and the pair was confirmed as father and son. The 50-year-old Sajid Akram was shot dead at the scene, while his 24-year-old son Naveed Akram was arrested and remains in critical condition under guard. Authorities confirmed the older gunman held a valid firearms license for recreational hunting, and the younger attacker was known to them as early as 2019 for engaging with an Islamic State affiliate, but was assessed as posing no immediate threat. Convening an emergency national cabinet meeting today, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stated the tragedy demands a national response. The coordinated state and federal reform agenda will include accelerating the creation of the National Real-Time Gun Registry, imposing new limits on the quantity and types of firearms a single individual can own, and expanding the use of criminal intelligence in firearms licensing. Albanese also committed to eradicating the scourge of anti-Semitism, announcing plans to establish national hate crime laws and a related database, enhance coordination between police and intelligence agencies, and fund security for Jewish communities. Quintin Ya, Cable News.
The U.S. authorities are investigating the fatal shooting in the Brown University that left 2 students dead and 9 injured. A man was held as a person of interest but was later released from custody.
Police! Providence police!
Dramatic footage emerged showing students hunkering down in a room at Brown University before police arrived to escort them out of the building following a deadly shooting on Saturday. Police in Rhode Island earlier on Sunday detained a person of interest, but later said because evidence now points in a different direction, the man in his 20s has been released. A vigil and community event were held at a local park Sunday evening. Classes and exams have been cancelled at the Ivy League school as the university stated that there is no immediate threat to the campus. The shelter-in-place order had been lifted, while Mayor Brett Smiley said they had no way of knowing if the gunman had left the state, urging the public to provide video evidence. Hong Kong welcomed about 4.2 million visitor arrivals in November, a solid 17% increase compared to the same month last year. The city's tourism sector is gaining strong momentum according to the latest figures released by the Hong Kong Tourism Board. For the first 11 months of 2025, total visitor arrivals reached around 45 million, marking a robust 12% increase year-on-year and already surpassing the total for the entire year of 2024. Mainland visitors continued to dominate, contributing about 34.5 million arrivals from January to November, an 11% growth over the previous year. Meanwhile, non-mainland markets contributed about 10 million arrivals, rising 16% year-on-year. Both short-haul and long-haul segments recorded increases of close to 20%. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 347 points. Top active stocks of the day, Alibaba was down $5.50, Tencent was down $13. Ping An was up $1.50, Hua Hong Semiconductor was down $4.60. Foreign exchange against the Hong Kong dollar, euro 9.14, Canadian dollar 5.65. And on to the weather now. Cloudy periods overnight and mainly fine tomorrow. The minimum temperature in the morning will be about 18 degrees in the urban areas, and it will be a few degrees lower in the New Territories. Dry during the day with a maximum temperature of around 23 degrees. Mainly fine in the following couple of days. That's our news tonight. I'm Cheryl Yun. Thanks for watching and good night.